So I think that sometimes there are kids with kind of overactive imaginations who are seeking those kind of sensory stimulation. And when we recognize that they're over-sexualized, we can A, address that between family and physician, B, bring them to a specialist, that way they're in a proper clinical setting, and C, make sure they only have access and exposure to it kind of when they're in private. But like, it's also, they understand that like, we're not encouraging you to look at porn. We're saying like, this is kind of like
doing it for you. Here, take your porn medicine. We got this kid who keeps wanting to get his dick sucked. The only treatment for it is to get a bunch of porn. Get mom and get the doctor and let's take him and show him porn together.
You know what a precocious puberty is?
I don't. What is it?
I can't imagine that it matters really early. So like kids who are 8 and should be starting their puberty are like,
I went through puberty at like 10 or 9. I was very young. So what?
Well, you know, that's a long time to be left with sexual urges and have no real way to like understand how to use them. I'm not saying again that we're encouraging them to use their sexual urges.
That is specifically enabling.
We're giving them an outlet. So that way it's not turning into more like intense, isolated
I can't think of anything more intense and deviant than having 2 adults take you in the back room and show you porn because it's your medicine.
Well, the child would A, be alone.
All right, weirdo. Don Juan wanted me to read Glenn's last comment. Glenn's last comment said, Don Juan, when he stops pretending he is Andrew Tate with the kickboxing BS. Now, I recognize you two are probably fighting in the chat, so I don't necessarily understand the entirety of the comment, but cheers to you, Don Juan, for paying for that one. Thank you for the $1.99. And Old Czar Twinkle comes in. Bad joke. No cookies for Flo.
I think on a more macro level, we look at like
participation. Good.
So looking at the way that like trans people interact online, like you could see the things that I do, and I'm antagonistic and I'm rude, and I tell people how I feel for sure. But if you're looking at how people are contributing to the overall narrative of how trans people operate, there's me, right? Kind of cunty for sure. At the end of the day, lack of a better word. And then there's you defending or propagating these sorts of weird opinions that then feed into the ultimate idea that we're all growers, we're all X, Y, and Z, right? So you kind of see how
if you want it to.
Well, you unfortunately have done yourself, you will cater to the delusion that you are removed from those consequences. But other people in your community are not free from those sorts of discussions, right? Like a lot of other people are going to be, victim to the sorts of dumb fuck shit that comes out of your mouth.
Well, I think the ability for bad faith right-wing I think the ability for bad faith right-wing actors to rebrand into something
I'm a complete moderate, and I think everything you said was disgusting.
Cool,
every single part. So don't appeal. Sorry. So trying to do the whole right-wing boogeyman thing here, I don't want to necessarily ask. I don't want to ask.
Without.
Well, your argument is that sometimes kids show early signs of what? You used a specific example of precocious puberty, right? But that the solution to whatever sort of, a proposed solution, a feasible alternative to what is showing kids, sexualized content early. Like, how do you not see that as like indefensible?
Sexual urges for
these kids are horny, is what you're saying. You're proposing sexual abuse because the kids are horny.
See, if you want me to put it that way, then that actually makes it easier for people to
No.
Why would we want to push something that we already recognize is kind of like creeping in?
Because we know that kids are going to look at pornography anyways, and when they access
not when you tell
example a precocious puberty, right? But that the solution to whatever sort of a proposed solution, a feasible alternative to what is showing kids sexualized content early. Like, how do you not see that as like
to having
indefensible
sexual urges for their
These
age?
Kids are horny, is what you're saying. You're proposing sexual abuse because the kids are horny.
See, if you want me to put it that way, then that actually makes it easier for people to remember.
No.
Why would we want to push something that we already recognize is kind of like creeping in?
Because we know that kids are going to look at pornography anyways, and when they access
it, not when you tell them. Not like, okay, that's like me saying, okay, look, alcohol's bad, but only drink White Claws because they're the lightest.
Do you think it's morally acceptable for a dad to let their 15 or 16-year-old try a beer?
Not even close to the same thing.
It's not analogous.
Okay.
You're
I
drawing
disagree.
You're drawing a really.
I'm talking about controlled settings where kids can try things, so that way it kind of prepares them.
But you're pushing them into a direction of.
Well, like I said, in this case, healthy sexual attitudes while entering.
Have you ever cammed up
to the age where they might have sexual interactions? Yes, I have.
Mel has cammed up before.
Don Juan coming with the $1.99. Sarah, Glenn's talking about Speakeasy. So I guess they're arguing about Speakeasy. We laugh about Speakeasy and his awkwardness. It was kind of a heavy breathing, lots of heavy breathing. But so Foxy, you're saying that that we should allow the kids to explore their sexual nature, like within pornography or whatever the case may be. Am I hearing that correctly? I did have to
I'm
step away to
scientific
go to the
about
restroom,
right?
so I didn't hear.
I'm scientific about it. So first, I think we need research on this.
How the fuck would we
But
research
all I'm saying
that?
is that there's an argument for it.
Hold on. Let's walk through how
innocent
what
lives
research
are
we
being
need.
ruined
You would do
for the
trials
sake
and
of
look to see if the outcomes match our expectations.
But describe to me the process of researching this.
You would do trials of this, like the
Of
same thing
what?
that I just described, of
like
bringing
dudes,
kids into
like,
a private setting where they're alone and they get to look at pornography and then leave. Controlled pornography.
How do
know
we
what they're
observe
looking
them
at.
if they're private?
yeah, that's gross.
No, we know what we're giving them.
Then we should just shut this conversation down
Yeah, we
now
should.
before TOS.
Let's go back to the
peels
tokenization
in.
of trans people and how
Hey,
we're not
Melanie,
allowed
you should
to
come to
have
my
these
panel with that
discussions.
nonsense sometimes, though.
Yeah, you're very good at handling things that you don't also comprehend. So
You're right.
going back to the idea that trans people should tone the fuck down. That's great and all for the people who want to do that. I don't judge people who act like token trans people, but at the end of the day, there's not enough representation.
How does somebody act
at the
like
end
a
of the day?
token
Let me
trans
finish.
person,
Let
Mel?
me finish.
No,
at the end
shut
of
the
the day,
fuck up,
there's not
you
enough
fucking weirdo.
representation.
How does somebody
of
act
strong
as a
trans
token-
people? Neve, I know
Strong
you're not
trans
actually
people.
a strong.
Sorry,
trans
so I think from a
person.
societal
I know you're all fronting.
Okay,
I'm not actually afraid
I'm
to show
fronting.
that
I'm fronting with.
Yes.
I'm fronting with
You
my
only
camera
act
on.
like
You're fronting with a
high school
Furby
bully.
fucking
At the end of the
PNG.
day,
You're
your
fronting with a
best skill
Furby
is acting like a
PNG.
fucking high
I say
school bully.
everything
Your
with
best-
my
not
mouth
even that
and with
smart.
my
High
face,
school
Mel.
bully.
You don't
Actually
say
repeat my
fucking
argument
anything
to-
unless
I
it's
have to
behind
redirect
a
you.
Furby and your
Leave whooping your
presumptive
ass.
pronoun
I
situation.
love
here.
how we were just
Hello.
discussing this whole concept of like the drama.
Neve lit
appeal.
this shit on fire. Neve was like,
I love Neve.
"You want me to
I
tell
love
him?"
Neve.
And Furby's like, "Tell him what?" Neve's like, "Oh yeah, that's your PDF."
If you think this
Well-
makes PDF, you're a bit of a PDF hunter, and you're the
No,
people.
I-
That, like,
I'm not at all a PDF hunter, but when I hear somebody who's saying we should do this with the kids because they want it,
controlled environment. where there be
that's a fucking
But-
line.
But
Controlled
Furby,
environment, a controlled
you're
environment.
you're
is
actually
parent and physician where there be
pushing-
zero chance of
but
exploitation.
you know what? A
You're very
controlled
smart.
environment.
You're very
hold on,
fucking smart.
hold on, hold on. A controlled environment is me telling my kids that doing X, Y, and Z is wrong. And because of our principles and values of our family, we're not going to entertain these concepts. Wrong, right, moral, bad, X, Y, Z, yada, yada, yada. And by the direction that you're saying is we should test the theory of letting kids do these things that we're saying are immoral. We're saying they're wrong, but we're going to allow them to test the theory and to see what's going on. And it's like, no, you're the fucking parent. You
problem is
say
that-
no.
What is the potential
No to
benefit?
kids.
Hey,
Hold on, I'm
think
not
that
fucking
it's more-
done. Hold on. Let me
As long as I
let me
get to respond
That's what
to you.
she said.
I respect the concept of you having an opinion, but I will question the idea, and don't take this as an insult, but I question the idea of, do you have children? Because my children, I'm going to dictate what the fuck happens in their lives. I'm going to come in and say, no, that is wrong. We're not going to fuck around with this stupid shit. You're X amount of years old, you're this, you're that. That is not appropriate for a child or a person, whatever your age. No, don't have sex. Abstinence is key. Whatever, yada, yada, yada. Insert, parental guidance here. And that's the end of the fucking story. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and feel the need to push any type of sex limitations or what they're capable of or what they would or wouldn't do if they were in a room by themselves. Of course they do stupid shit when they're in a room by themselves. They're kids. That's
So
why they have parents to give them the training wheels and the guidance so that they can do better and know and understand, hey, that's wrong.
So that's like really good virtue signaling. That would be ideal if it were true.
That's not even a
just
virtue
parental
signal.
guidance
That is
alone.
what a
May I-
parent
I let you
is.
finish,
That's
Sarah.
That's what a parent does. I apologize. You are correct.
If
What-
parental guidance alone were enough to keep kids from looking at other forms of pornography that they have more access to than ever on the internet, I totally agree. But when parents start observing that their kids are doing these behaviors and they're like, we gave them the guidance and they won't stop to a physician, and they both agree that something must be done to prevent
What
this kid
behaviors?
from
What
going
behaviors?
visiting, for example, terrible sites on the internet, because we know that this is just studies that we've done. No matter how hard you try to stop kids from looking at stuff on the internet, they usually find a way. And at the end of the day, kids do look at pornography. That's just a matter of fact, and we have
What
to
is
be
the
able
benefit?
to address that.
What benefit are you trying to introduce?
We can control
Sometimes-
which pornography they're looking at and prevent them from
If
seeing
we can't
worse
control them
porn.
from looking at it in the first place, how the fuck are we going to control what genre they watch?
This
We
is what
also
I'm
don't
talking about.
exercise. We don't
Controlled setting.
exercise. We don't exercise the slightest amount of control on the pornography that's already produced, Mel. So what makes you think that we could somehow provide some sort of clinical substitute?
I
And
don't
then
think
for this
parents
premise,
are clinically equipped with the tools necessary to prevent things like pornography addiction.
oh, but you are, because you did PubMed and has spent a lot of time looking
I'm
at
saying
science.
we need to study how to do this right still. I'm just saying that this is an option that
Okay,
we should
well,
You
consider.
understand the
with
study is
pornography
in and
being
of
more
itself
accessible than
abuse.
ever.
The study is abuse. So you want to abuse some kids to see if maybe we can
If they're
make
already
them have
looking
better
at
pornography choice.
this isn't more abusive than them already looking at pornography despite
It is.
parental
It's
guidance.
imposed externally and it's monitored. It's creepy as
You're
fuck.
the one who wants it to be abused. That's just what you want. I'm
That
telling
is
you
a-
that this is as
abuse.
far from
This is
abuse.
the best-
This is as
it's
far from
abuse.
abuse as
It's the best
possible.
interest.
Expecting kids
by
to follow your every
definition,
order.
Mel,
Expecting kids
Mel,
to follow your every
Mel.
order is abuse.
It's
Hello,
literally
dumb
child
fuck.
abuse
By
by-
definition, it is child abuse, exposure to sexual content,
you
neglect,
want
harming
child-
a child's sense of
you want
self,
child neglect.
all of these different things.
They're
Oh
showing
no,
the signs
listen,
that they can't
child
handle the
abuse
access to pornography. You want to
child
say,
abuse
oh,
is
well, we gave them
defined.
parental guidance.
It's
I guess
defined,
we
Mel.
can't do
It's
anything more.
defined.
You're
So we
fucking
don't have
useless
weird
in
fucking
this
Furbies
discussion.
like
All
you
can do
skirting
is
our
accuse people
understanding
being a
of what we
pedophile.
should
You can't
and shouldn't
from
do for
shit.
children
You're a
out of
fucking
some sort of
ignoramus. You know what
stupid
that word means?
perceived
Of course you don't,
benefit.
because that would
Okay.
require self-reflection.
Look, an ad hom coming from a Furby. Sorry.
Oh, wow, you're
Miss,
poor little
miss,
ad-homs from
miss,
unbelievable
miss.
people.
Okay.
Aw,
This is the maddest I've ever seen Mel.
It's
Mel, you got exposed.
ad-homing.
You
Yeah.
tipped your
No,
card.
but
you're
this
a
is
creepy
no,
pedo.
but this is Mel. Let's be very clear.
Oh,
This
no.
is
She's
this is
so
the real
sick.
Mel. This is the real Mel. Okay. Let's be
Everyone's
really
so
clear about this.
mean.
Not the
Very
subtle. Oh, I just
nice.
want to come up here and tell everyone my position on things.
Happy.
And
Oh
drama
my
content
God.
would be so much better if we just
You're right.
debated the facts
I
and
don't
looked
know
into
how
the
to
scientific things. This is Mel's. This is what Mel wants you to
Don't
see.
like
This is
it.
who Mel is. Let's be very
An
clear.
argument.
Are you having a
Well-
meltdown, Mel? A meltdown. I didn't do
I
that.
provided you with
And
one.
speaking of the
meltdown?
real thing, rude mud crabs come with the big five. Furby want to abuse kids to research the benefits. That's wild. And Don Juan coming in with the $1.99. Ethics have left the building with such abuse.
Child abuse looks like neglecting kids with actual care and letting them be exposed to pedophiles on the internet because you think
That's
that
you.
so guidance your way.
Well,
through.
isn't exposing them to pornography the same thing though?
No, you're just
Because
being-
that
you're
is
just being a-
still
you're just
people
being a
that
moral-
are
You're just being a moral asshole. At the end of the day,
okay. I would okay. I will die on
at
the
the end
hill.
of the day, if they're already
but
looking at
Mel-
pornography,
Mel.
Mel,
and you wanna
I will
control it.
die on the hill of being a moral asshole if that keeps pornography out of my child's hands.
it doesn't.
Yeah,
What
and
you're-
more.
Furby
And,
wants
no
to give your kids
pornography.
porn and watch it
Studies
with
do
them.
not work.
For studies.
Pornography does not have honest depictions of intimate interactions between consenting
That's why
adults.
we can
It
curate.
never does. It's an over objectification of the
That's why
woman
in my
and
example,
disgusting
actually curate.
sexual excess of the people involved every fucking
And that's why
time.
in my
So because
example-
there's what, like 5% of a porn out there that exists for people who
Moral
like to watch sensual
moral-
softcore interactions
Well, it
between adults, that's like what the fuck are you
That's why
proposing
I'm
here?
saying we would
You
curate
sound
because
fucking
that's how
crazy.
it's
What this sounds
That's why
like to
I'm
me
saying-
now. What this
I know
sounds
how
like to
I know
me.
what
Let
you want
me
it to
let me
sound like.
well, let
Especially
me
curated porn
let
for
me give
children. Tomato.
hold on, Mel. Let me give an analogy here. What this sounds like to me is there's a teenager out there that went out and smoked pot for the first time, and you come in and say, "Hey, let's put them in a room full of heroin and see what happens.
No,
Let's see
I'm
if they
not
die
saying the
further."
opposite.
That's
Saying if
what
the
it
child
sounds
says,
like.
I want to try to. I think I want to try heroin. Then we pull
This
them
sounds
back
like Chris Hansen.
from
Like,
all
I
the-
was just coming over to check on her to make sure she was safe.
to their friend
That's what
group.
it sounds like.
I think it's
And-
better. Let me respond, please. I think I'm saying the opposite. If a kid says to their parents, "I want to try heroin," I think it's okay for the parents to say, "Well, fuck it, let's keep you smoking weed and let's make sure you always have weed, so you don't want to try heroin."
And Fecal coming in with the $10. Everyone take a breath and have a cookie, except for Flo. No cookie for Flo.
Fine.
I'm going
I'll
for
go.
the
And the
So
trip
your
one coming in with the
strategy-
5. Don't really know what Mel is referring to, but mindless virtue signaling doesn't really help anyone. What even was the premise to the sick debate?
So your approach is basically whatever the worst thing is, why don't we just introduce kids to the next thing down, right?
No, not even introduce it. Once they already show that they're going to be accessing these things anyways, because
how do we establish that?
Over sexuality or
Okay.
hypersexuality,
So
precocious puberty, and we know that
it's more than precocious. Okay, sorry, you need to decouple a few things here. I think one thing is very important is that precocious puberty happens to people whose body is forcing them through changes at a time that we would find it to be kind of like generally uncomfortable. Puberty is uncomfortable for everyone, but we're talking young girls developing breasts at really, really uncomfortable ages, things that have long-standing complications for the way they interact in the world and the way they're seen in the world. Precocious puberty versus, who the sorts of kids who act out in over-sexualized ways? Kids who have been abused, kids who have been victim of sexual abuse, who have been victimized by adults in their life or other kids, teens, whatever you want to say it. That is a sign of abuse when there is a child that needs it. The solution is to not reintroduce the sexual stimulation to the situation. It's to take a step back and maybe insert a professional, but not to do dumb fuck shit like that. You have no understanding of what you're talking about. Everything you say is removed. No, everything you say is removed from the burden of nurturing or actually understanding what the fuck children are. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
For this opinion, hiding behind your fucking avatar with your damn weird.
Let's talk about this directly, and then you have to go on to your own personal ad hom. So let me be very specific.
Yes, we're gonna ad hom your creepy ass. You're exactly the person that I don't want.
Good point. When Neve says that some of these kids may have been abused, I think that that's a case where we need special examination, and we don't always just show them pornography. Sure.
What does that mean?
Again, it's a controlled setting where the pornography is curated to show is better than the internet where they can just encounter more abusers.
No.
What if it's repressed, Mel? What if it's repressed? What if it's repressed?
So
what if the abuse is repressed?
Adults watching it with kids, or watching kids watch it, or introducing kids to the type that they want to. The whole thing from top down is so fucking creepy. All it is justification.
You don't know how.
Look, I'm not a fan of accusing people of things, but you
brain goes fucking numb.
This is exactly a creepy grooming suggestion. We should watch it with kids because they want to watch.
Let pornography addiction get out of control in youth.
Speaking of grooming, the Trib One with the $5 comes in to groom the lovely Crispy Treat and all of her needs. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Keep donating, keep contributing in all different ways. But yeah, pretty fucked up. This was brought up in the first place, hoping Mel isn't a PDF, but I know she'll be seen as one because of this. And it is kind of an odd thing to suggest. And if you really logically sit and think about it, you've hit puberty and you're feeling sexual and all of these things. Let's go ahead and feed that and see what happens.
Well, we're doing it to keep you safe.
That they're going to access it anyways.
We don't know that.
You're limiting the access. You're limiting the access as a parent. Again, being a parent means you're giving your teenager with hormones training wheels. These are training wheels. Okay, and you give them the guidance to the best of your ability. You tell them nope, that's wrong. This is good. This is bad. X, Y. You do all of these things because you as an adult know and have experienced different circumstances, so on and so forth, so you can pass your guidance down. So they are training wheels. We don't want to fuel the fire of hell.
Sarah, even with best intentions, this doesn't work at the end of the day because we've studied this. And I think we have to be honest that some portion of these sexual assaults.
If you keep saying we've studied this, you're gonna have to start dropping
be their own family members.
What about family members?
That some of the victims that Neve is trying to protect can be one's own family members. So sometimes parental guidance falls out in the window, and especially.
I absolutely hope that all of my family members are protected from creepy ass pedos like you. Do you know that one of the tactics that police interrogators use with PDFs is to make little things like lines like, it's not that big. She wanted that. She probably wanted it anyways. She wanted it anyways. You're doing that. That's exactly your line. This is a predatory line.
They encounter on
you creepy fucker walking around with predatory talking points behind your Furby avatar.
Who do you think is more likely to be a pedo? Answer me. Random on the internet, are they more likely to be a pedo or a child psychologist?
I'm talking to a random on the internet. You're not a child psychologist.
Answer my fucking question, coward.
This was not a child psychologist recommendation. This was a random creepy Furby on the internet suggestion. You are most likely to be a pedo.
That's literally who I said would do this, is a child psychologist.
Yeah, none of them have ever suggested it that I've heard. Okay. Why don't you let them make the suggestion in the first place?
Okay, Mel, wouldn't a child psychologist be somebody who would try and wouldn't a child psychologist be involved in the process that you're stating? Wouldn't they be involved in the process of somehow providing this, medication to the fucking,
all sorts of things we can do. You're right. But at the end of the day, if they're still going to look
Okay, so what? So you believe what we believe. You believe what we believe, but you still fucking go for this. What the fuck?
At the end of the day, I think having a healthier alternative is better than
no alternative.
You're so dumb. Administered by the people you just admitted are likely to be a fucking pedophiles, right?
You're far less likely to be a pedo than some rando on the internet. You're an idiot.
No. Okay, somebody whose sole purpose is to that requires the proximity of children outside of their own qualifications and their credentials. It's dictated that to make their ends meet, they need to be in proximity to children versus somebody who exists online and sometimes says shit you don't like.
Children are safer online than around a child psychologist.
Not with
you. You're a person who wouldn't get a child.
You just fucking conceded that they were more likely to.
The people who want to do things to kids work with kids. They seek them out, right?
You
neglect children.
I'm speaking. This is why humans are not experiments a priori. I'm guessing you meant to say a priority. Rachel, what say you? And then to Keynes.
Oh, I'm just in with Neve on this. I agree with Neve 100% and Flo on this issue, but I don't want to, disrespect the little Furby character. It's adorable, but no, you can't do it. You can't normalize a dysfunction. If someone has a precocious puberty, I would assume that is not normative or it's not optimal, and therefore I would argue that to facilitate that, even in a clinical setting, would be to normalize it. I think that would be harmful. My instincts tell me, stand back, danger, Will Robinson, don't do it.
So I've been very clear about responding to every criticism and providing a real prescription that is applicable in the real world and has checks and balances that would hold people accountable.
You don't get to decide. You don't. That's a level of analysis that we'll all make together. That's not your decision to make whether or not you made an adequate argument.
Can you stop running your mouth for once, please? Thanks.
I'll stop running my mouth when I decide to fucking stop running it. You've already been through this with me. You know that I won't shut the fuck up just because you're here.
More people than science. So keep that in mind.
Nobody heard you because I was talking.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, moral science has hurt, or moral outrage has hurt more people than science. Please keep that in mind.
So you should fuck them. Or I'm sorry, watch them.
Dude, you're the pervert here who has to come to these conclusions in order to even pretend
it's not a far conclusion. It's actually
no,
the same thing. You are proposing child abuse. It already is the same thing. Hold on, Sarah. What you're proposing is already legally exactly child abuse. It's not a stretch at all. It's already there.
Every single example that has been brought up, from precocious puberty to people who have possibly suffered abuse, the solution in both of those situations is not more sexualization, not introducing more sexualization into those situations. And because you can't seem to demonstrate something outside of precocious puberty, and the obvious that what I'm saying is that these kids are probably have been abused, you can't seem to demonstrate a third party or a third example of a fucking child here that would benefit from this sort of thing. It just sounds fucking weird. It just sounds weird. Because if it's precocious puberty, the solution is not to compound the early sexualization that is already going on, that they're already victims of, as a nature of their body and the way the body is progressing, or the child abuse situation where they've already been victimized early on in their life. You want to compound that by introducing a child psychologist and having some sort of clinical setting where they can therefore further compound that. I am afraid of that. And I'm afraid that these things are coming from your fucking mouth. I'm afraid that they're coming from your fucking mouth, for sure. I'm afraid of that. Yeah.
You're the one who would harm children by letting them be exposed to randos on the internet before a child psychologist. And I just really want to point out, medical
No. Stop with that narrative.
That's a really disingenuous straw man.
It's insanely overreaching. You're trying so hard to create a paradigm in which that is true.
That doesn't make it an argument.
Honestly, we're just shitting on you at this point. Nobody needs to argue anything else. It's plainly obvious that you want to have children because you're fucking creep.
Lost this debate.
It's not a real art. Yeah, nobody actually is taking your point seriously. You understand that.
Yeah, and
nobody thinks that this is a more normal or a real recommendation.
I don't think you can even like realistically. I mean, legally, you wouldn't even be able to test that theory, right? Morally, definitely no. Scientifically, there is no way to do it. Like you wouldn't even be able to do that. No, not without invading on somebody. Like that's gross.
The ability to say X group of children, say in a survey, they look at pornography this much. We put them through we put people through a trial. We say we expect there to be this much decline in their usage of pornography.
The trial is illegal.
Let me finish. And if we get
don't finish until you've resolved this issue.
Shut the fuck up, you literally are just afraid of science.
You cannot get past.
I know the scientific method makes your brain shut off.
You're normalizing.
You cannot get past.
Maybe you could actually try learning something for once.
By normalizing this in a clinical setting, you're providing kids with an argument for why they should be digesting sexual content outside of what's being dictated to them by their parents. If you can say to your parent, sorry, mom, you don't want me to brush my teeth 3 days a week, but the dentist says that I should, so I'm going to do that. You're giving them an appeal to authority inside every single fucking household now. A child is going to have the ability to appeal to their psychologist over their parents' preferences.
You're just trying to run by the fact that you have to abuse children to get the data. Until you can establish that this data can be gathered without abusing children, it doesn't fucking matter. Your recommendation is to abuse children.
Abusing children is
what is it? The guys in the cave, like when they see the light and then they turn and then like they realize, like you don't know until you know, right? You don't know until you know. So by even asking the question in a survey, if these children haven't been exposed to porn, they're going to now ask the question, what the fuck is porn? Why should I be looking at this?
Argument against having vaccine trials on kids. Oh, it might hurt them. Oh, moral panic. Like
don't grandstand and move around.
I don't think that's comparable because that is an actual hold on, because there are other scientific ways you can test vaccines and so on and so forth before it even moves into human trial and all of those things. But now with the way you're testing, for the porn topic, now you're messing with the psyche, and that's not predictable. That's not something we can test on rats, right? That's the psyche. It's a totally different concept. And Don Juan coming in at the $4.99, the scientific method was made by Catholic under the premise of having moral high ground. It is through reason that we deducted different conclusions. And Finkel coming in with the Big Ten, the porn industry is well known for victimizing its actors. Letting kids watch is wrong on many levels. No cookie for Furby. Give the cookie to Flo. Flo, you get a cookie. Apparently,
we don't need to show stuff from the porn industry because we can also commission healthier pornography through the government.
I think I missed one.
What the fuck does that mean, you weird little bastard?
I know you're afraid of anything you've never thought of yourself before.
There's no way for you to get around it. That you want to abuse children, just to see if abusing children.
Well, it really is, because all you can do is.
Well, number one, okay.
This is a moral panic on display.
Hold on. Jade has a good point here, and I'm going to explain where my point's coming from. Coming in with the two, try creating some kids Furby before you spread bullshit. So
it's not bullshit. That's all.
Well, hold on. Hold on a second. I want to get to a point. I want to get to a point. In order for you to even obtain this scientific process, you first have to obtain parental consent. I want to know what fucking parent is going to sign off on this bullshit.
One who really wants their kid to stop looking at worse and worse forms of pornography.
How are they going to agree to even the concept of it? Like, there's no way as a good parent, okay? As a good parent, I would never agree to my child being surveyed for how much porn they're fucking watching.
So again, if you are a parent who's dealing with kids who have an overactive sexuality, they're always looking at porn.
You take them the fuck outside. You run them around a park. You get them involved in
parents are working 9 to 5 every day.
Hold on.
Both parents are working 9 to 5 every day, so they don't have time.
That is total bullshit, and I'll tell you why.
Pipe dream bullshit in a world where both parents have to work jobs.
Listen, and I will give you a fucking example. Hold on.
Furby's not insane.
It's just a fantasy. It's just a fantasy. Oh, parents have
shut the fuck up for a minute and listen, because I work 9 to 5, and then my children, they get off the school bus. Yes, I work 9 to 5.
Why are you streaming right now instead of taking care of your kids?
Oh, here it comes.
Oh, damn.
Virtue signaling.
Oh, now it offends you. Now it offends you. And I do it, it fucking defends you. You're
5. And then my children, they get off the school bus. Yes, I work 9 to 5.
Why are you streaming right now instead of taking care of your kids?
Oh, here it comes.
Oh, damn.
Virtue signaling.
Oh, now it offends you. Now it offends you. And I do it, it fucking defends you. You're a fucking snowflake.
Let me explain it to you. No, let me explain it to you. Why do I not stream until 9:15? Does anybody know this answer? Why do I not stream until 9:15 p.m.?
Well, the kids are in bed.
The kids are in fucking bed, Furby. A fucking genius concept that any fucking parent could understand.
You wouldn't fucking know, would you?
No, I know what they're doing. You don't need to worry about my kids.
Hold on, there's all sorts of. You can see what people are looking at through all sorts of software.
This is true. There's
all sorts of parenting apps. You can control access points through the route, through your earnings. There's all sorts of things parents can do besides letting motherfuckers
have an argument with the Furby.
Ask any high school IT.
I am arguing with a Furby.
Get around it.
I understand kids look at porn. I cannot imagine that you're suggesting that because kids get a hold of porn, we should give them some and watch them.
Curated.
Like what?
Watching them. Get your fucking mind out of the trash. I know that's what you want to be true.
Nice try.
Nice try.
Oh my God, you're not going to be. You can't possibly spin it around. Hold on. There's no way you're good enough at spinning to spin this motherfucker to where I'm creepy.
You're ignorant ass down.
That's fine. I'll stay ignorant.
This is one time.
Stay away from you.
We get it. You can't comprehend what I'm saying.
You can't comprehend development in children because you don't understand. You've got the scientific understanding. You don't have any. You don't have a holistic understanding. You're not around any of it. Thank God you're not around any.
Pornography. That's why I agree with you, Neith. I want them to look at healthier pornography.
What if the harm reduction? Mel, what if the harm reduction approach isn't the right approach? Maybe we don't. Mel, maybe we don't enable every single fucking shitty thing that happens in society. Maybe we don't enable that. Maybe we increase the amount of restrictions that we get. Maybe we burden our internet service providers with the ability to whole block these sites for kids. Maybe we attach an age to IP. Maybe we attach an age to IPs, and IPs don't allow children to access these sites. Why wouldn't we go there? Why wouldn't we go there?
On their own without you participating it like we did, right? Even that's way preferable to let kids just be kids.
Wait your fucking turn.
The technology exists to restrict or to completely restrict the access, and I would be in favor of doing so.
Around it, which kids have access to a lot more than you realize. For one thing, like I said,
how do you know? How do you know that?
Because I've met a few.
No shit.
No shit.
Creepy as fuck.
It's creepy that I've met some high school ITs who work on computers at high school, and we like talking about computer science. You're the one who's weird because you can't get your mind out of the fucking gutter. And
to make sure you don't talk to them about this,
responding to Nev or Neve or whatever the fuck it is, because everyone says it both ways and you never correct them.
Shut up, Furby.
I just want to say I agree with you that we should use the other method. But once they stop working, and once we find kids on
why are these weird assumptions being made? You keep making these insane assumptions so that you can justify watching stuff with kids. You're fucking weird.
Curation is when you control which forms of media people see.
That is weird. You're trying to Okay, so which kinds? Okay, let me ask you, what categories or genres do you think are acceptable for what age brackets? What about the 12 to 14-year-old age bracket? These out of control 8th graders, what kind
anal only? Like
no, you have to grab.
See,
Mel, this isn't even fallacious. Mel, you have to grapple with this. This is your proposition, dumb fuck. This is your proposition. This is what you have to grapple with. This is what you have to fucking grapple with. Which categories, Mel? Which categories?
I've already answered the question.
God. Which ones?
Which is to give them healthier forms of pornography that actually.
What genres?
Tell us more. Yeah, tell us more about that. Tell us more about that.
Why did you want to know so badly if you're not the perverts here? I'm not the one.
Because you're making the prescription.
I want to
retard.
know if you would recommend my 9 and 15-year-old what kind of porn should they be watching? That's
I've got a 14-year-old. That's
Please let me know.
We can all use your expert.
Anything is better than what's on the internet. Let's put it that way.
Everything's on the fucking internet. Which part of it would you recommend?
Everything is on the internet. Let's stop them from having access to everything.
Which, okay, of all the ways to do that,
what's that? Come on.
All the ways,
honestly,
all the ways. Okay,
well, that's a better position to have.
Let me finish it because the implication is that, like, I don't have an answer. Of all the ways to prevent kids from getting online, you went to watch prawn with them. You fucking weirdo.
No, you're the weirdo who has to think it's with them every fucking time.
If you're monitoring it.
No, you're just curating it and putting it on a local system.
That's so fucking weird. That's so goddamn weird.
I know.
Why would you make it easier? Okay, here's the concept, right?
We're making it harder.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Kids will like
you.
I'm gonna give you an analogy, okay? Kids will go out and they will get a hold of alcohol, right? They find their ways. Everybody has a plug at some point as a teenager, right? But their access to it is incredibly limited.
I was that
all right. So you were the plug. You probably still are. But they go out and they can only get a hold of. Would you shut up? They can only get a hold of a bottle of this or maybe a 6-pack of that, but it's incredibly limited, right? Why would I go in and be like, hey guys, let me be your full-time plug. I'm going to get you any and everything you want, but it's going to just be limited to like certain things that are okay for you, but not that bad, right? But I'll get you all of the okay stuff. It's
just
not that bad.
Just a 6-pack of wine coolers, like every To Catch a Predator episode.
It's a 6-pack of Zimas. I'll get you all the Zimas you want because they're not that bad. But they're bad, but they're not that bad. But I'll just forever be that plug for all the Zimas you can ask for all day, any day. Like, I would much rather my kids be limited, right? And they have to figure it the fuck out, right? And then I'm still mitigating. I'm still in control of the scenario as much as I can be as a parent, but I know their access is still restricted to these small scopes.
No, it's not virtue signaling. It's protecting kids in an obvious way.
It's also Mel, it's also practical.
Yeah, again,
it's also fucking practical. Not one bit of what she said was fantastical stuff that's impossible.
Barriers are no longer there because
listen to your little angry voice.
And you're worried that they're just going to access worse and worse websites. The better alternative is instead of having
access. What do you think? Hold on.
Let me finish. I'm going to answer your fucking question.
Holy shit, let me ask you this. Oh my God, Furby, hold on.
Control yourself.
Who the fuck are you? Listen for a second. I need you to hear this out. Do you think that the kids will stop? Do you actually believe?
Sarah, you've cut me off 3 times in a row.
You don't get to finish, motherfucker.
Do you actually believe?
Let me fucking finish.
No, I need you to hear
can't actually hear anything I have to say.
I don't want to hear it at this point.
Busy thinking ways out of this.
I could just click this little button right here. Do you actually believe that the kids will stop at what you limit them at? Do you actually really believe this concept? Because if I say, hold on a second, I have more to this. If I say, hey kids, you can have all the alcohol you want. I'm going to give you all the Zima 6-packs you want all day long, any day, all day, whatever, as much as you want. Do you think they'll actually stop there? Or do you think they're still going to be like, fuck this shit. This is boring. I need more. Do you really think they're going to stop?
Studies show that this is the case, then yes. If they show that
if they show this,
thought it would, then no. It's pretty basic.
Okay. Well, Mel, time for another rebrand. Everyone knew you as Ninetales now. It's Furby. What are you gonna come back next time until people find out that you're of this
Jared from Subway
of this thought process?
Wait.
What's the next rebrand gonna be?
Call myself Cosmic Fox. I'm not hiding from shit. Stop trying to make me.
Okay. Well, all those debates, though, all those debates, to be clear, your name was Ninetales during those debates.
Lying about me, you fucking liar.
Sorry, what's a lie? What's a lie about you? Sorry. All I did. Okay, so all I did was bring attention to a debate that you had. Right?
Say what my actual.
I literally.
You couldn't.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But then you did, and you made yourself look like a fucking weirdo.
Even worse.
Wow. Wow. So Mel, I strawmanned your original position.
Go back to high school.
Mel, I strawmanned your original position, and you told us the real one, and we all still think you're fucking weird. Oh my god! It's almost like you're fucking disgusting, and your opinions suck, and you're worthy of all the condemnation. Oh my god!
Like you're a fucking queen when you get to gossip about people without anyone pushing back on it, right? So go back to your little drama circles.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how you're gonna push this on me.
Furby, we're all arguing your point here. You're making this point and you're heavy-handed on it, and we're arguing that. I don't even think this contends to like gossip.
I'm not. You're just acting very afraid.
Afraid of what? My children being wrapped up in some fucked up shit? Yeah. I think that's okay. That's healthy.
Setting.
That is healthy for a parent to want to control.
Can actually be held accountable
that their children are in.
You might be a great parent, Sarah, but some parents aren't. You might be a great parent, Sarah, but some parents aren't.
Go out and do whatever you want. I'm not going to control anything around you. Yes, it's okay to give a healthy guiding point. That's why I said training wheels. It's okay to let them go and be independent and teach them
the more fringe
and teach them the way to make good decisions, teach them their principles and values. And that's what we stand on, because then when they go out into the world, they don't end up like, oh, I don't know what I should do, and then do something.
Maybe don't watch games with kids.
I don't trust all parents to do that. Not all parents are good parents.
I trust any parent more than I trust anybody more than you.
At this point,
who actually study how children's brains develop.
That's not you. That's not you.
At this point, though, I would trust any parent over the idea of allowing, like, some random person saying,
and drop my finger on a name.
Say it honestly, right? A child psychologist to
stop acting like you're a child psychologist. We're not discussing this with a child psychologist. You're just trying to use that credential to try to buffer your creepy suggestion.
If you want to act like you have standards and bring a child psychologist in here, well,
no, stop referring to the child psychologist. Go ahead.
But I'm telling you right
your
now,
recommendation. You own it.
From child psychologists say we need better.
By the way, I've got to pull up so far. 100% of respondents say is Furby a creepy groomer PDF? 100% so far say yes. I wonder if anybody will say no.
Because you've curated an audience that just wants blood. Nobody.
And you want to curate porn for kids? That's fucking creepy.
Enjoy your
Don Juan coming in with the $1.99. Karuma is not weird. It's super weird. 100. And then the Trib 1 come with the 2. Win Mel. I'm not sure where the win is. Don't be a ped though, please. Research it. And did I miss any?
Says we need.
Hold on. And then Don Juan coming in with the $1.99. Hamster took sunk costs to a new level. Damn.
Oh my God.
Trib 1 coming in with the $2, and that was evil. Neve, you knew this would happen.
I just feel so bad.
God forbid Mel suffers the consequences of her own words.
Neve gave Mel the option to back off of it.
I don't have critical thinking skills. I really do.
No, you just have justifications that you're trying to make. You're just trying to make up reasons why you should watch porn with kids.
You're the perfect example of somebody who wants me to be evil.
No, you are evil.
Yeah, no, believe what you
I
want.
don't want. Why would I have to want you to be? You are evil. I don't need anything else. I have no need of that.
I think that parents aren't like, this isn't a perfect example of how we neglect kids by not having better alternatives.
If these kids are horny and we're neglecting them, if we just watch porn with them,
then you're too inept to understand my argument.
If kids get a hold of porn on their own, just like we did when we were kids, hopefully it'll be without adults participating, just as it was for me when I was a kid. You sound like somebody who watched porn with adults. That's the problem.
Your weird fucking uncle.
How many adults have you watched porn with when you were a kid?
That's not a relevant question.
That's kind of personal.
Yeah, but I think that it is relevant.
Attack anything that I've actually said instead of making up.
I have been for hours and hours. I have. But now we're getting to the root of the problem.
Oh, you just retcon what I say and then attack a fucking straw person because you're a pussy.
Well, all I have to do is introduce a straw man, and you're going to tell us exactly what you mean, Mel. You've done so tonight. So.
Oh, this is actually kind of a good point too. I'm going to read this out loud very carefully, like how I read it. On tomorrow's episode, Mel explains how kids are doing the deeds. Adults should take them out back and show them how to do it responsibly. Yep. And that's another good point. Like, are you just going to
more moral outrage? No, there's no basis for that. That doesn't even make fucking sense. That's
neither does your suggestion.
Not analogous to having a controlled setting with.
It literally is.
It is
a slippery slope. It follows.
Retard.
It follows is this extreme to your position that we already regard as extreme.
You have to be mentally deficient at this point. That's the only explanation.
Okay.
We haven't been efficient.
We're all crazy. You're the one.
Is that so? Yeah, what is efficient? What is efficient? No, what is efficient?
Really fucking bad at this.
We're still at 100% thinking you're a creepy PDF, by the way.
And I'm at 95% saying that Mel's taking the L. I want to know which one person said Mel took the W. Mel, I think what you're confusing here is the concept of being a parent and offering guidance and how you're doing it. It is very okay. Huh?
It looks a lot to me like pro clutching, so you could have fooled me.
I'm okay if somebody wants to consider my parenting to be pearl clutching or whatever the fuck that is. Like, I'm okay if somebody says I'm a strict asshole. I'm okay.
Groomer, that's fine. Yeah.
I'm okay if somebody says
grooming doesn't happen in clinical settings.
How does grooming work then?
It happens on the internet with randos.
No shit, it does.
Yeah, on the internet where they're not in a controlled setting.
Why would you want to promote that setting in any circumstance?
We're not promoting the setting. We're promoting.
You're promoting the concept of looking at porn in a controlled environment, but it's still promoting looking at it. Why would you want to even promote that?
No, it's not, because for one thing, there would be a huge separation in the comfort.
Why would you not want to tell them, hey, looking at this shit is bad. You shouldn't do this. Let's not do this. Let's go play football instead.
One of the biggest reasons that kids don't, tell their parents when they look at porn is because the feeling of shame.
Because they should feel shame because they know they're wrong.
You only know how to shame your child for behavior.
Shame is okay in certain circumstances.
How to shame your child for behavior.
Listen,
you can't correct it.
Listen, being able to shame correctly and recognizing that, hey, it's okay. We did something wrong. This is bad. That is shame. We feel shame for a reason. The reason why we feel shame is because we know we did something wrong. But we only know we did something wrong when our morals, principles, and values guide us to believing that. That's what your fucking parents are for.
Is it normal for kids to look at pornography in 2024? Yes or no?
No, it's not fucking normal.
Yes, it is. And yes, it is. And the fact that you can't admit that makes you a bad parent who's not prepared for the real world.
This is your far extreme leftist delusion bullshit. Actually,
it's actually the real.
I think it's so nice to have such a contrast in opinion amongst trans
I know you're
people on this panel.
How many kids
so wonderful. It's just to say that harm reduction in every fucking situation and circumstance is maybe not a good idea. You may even argue that the biggest proponent for harm reduction right now for drug use isn't working either. Sorry. Well, I know you don't like it, or you don't trigger you, but this is how Mel will understand
why you're using it, but it's not applicable.
Yes. Okay. So you're making a harm reduction argument. You're making a harm reduction argument, without void of the understanding that the biggest application of the biggest. Okay, it's a very Mal, shut the fuck up. It is a very analogous. There is a problem. People access drugs. What is the way that we can make drug use safer? We provide safe, consistent access to drugs. That way, the drug addicts are getting themselves into less precarious situations. Like what sort of
differences?
Okay, the differences are very, very narrow, and I think that would be on you to demonstrate. No, it would be. No, I'm saying the differences in the positions, you dumb fuck. Not everything's about you.
No, I just turned that back on you. Calm the fuck down.
Okay, you could attempt to, but you really didn't. I'm saying you're making an argument for harm reduction. Another example of of people utilizing harm reduction has literally led to the opioid crisis and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people dying. Okay, so you might not like that. But it's as if to say that it seemed like a good idea at the first time. Now we do it,
which is almost ubiquitous,
and it didn't work out for us, did it?
But whatever. Have fun in your little fantasy world where you can control everything they look at, because that's not how it works.
Okay.
Well, if we end today with you still not being justified in watching Forward Kid, that's a W in my book.
And Rude Mud comes in with the Big 10. It's okay, guys. Mel is just the cool mom who lets you have parties, drinks, and smokes with everyone, and then sleeps with your best friend responsibly.
No,
and that's the point. Like
party on the internet.
You do realize, like, the way that your phones are set up, especially if you have a child's phone, you can set you could set it up as a family sharing, and they have you set an age thing. You can set what they can look at. You can set like all of these little features up to where you can control what happens there. Then on their school laptops, 100%, by the way. Their school laptops are also very restricted, and then the laptop at home, right? Like it sits in the family room, or you have some type of control over it. Like there are provisions you can put into place. Again, I go back to the concept of training wheels. Teach them right. Teach them morals, values, principles. Teach them how to be. Teach them how to be independent and make good, wise decisions on their own, and you'll never have to worry about this dumb fucking shit that you're talking about.
Set it and forget it. So that way you don't actually have to worry.
You're acting as if trying to reduce or restrict the flow is futile, so that we can go straight past it.
Both, we could have even better outcomes. Because at the end of the day, we know that these filters.
We can't do both because your strategy is exactly the opposite.
At the end of the day, we know that these filters cannot catch every single site. And while what you're saying is ideal, and I've said this right from the beginning, it's ideal. It just doesn't work like that.
But here's the thing: especially not if we adopted your proposal, let's say all the experts found that it could be reduced, or whatever. Under that paradigm, the issue of kids being able to get around preventions is still there. You actually haven't reduced the risk profile at all. You've just guaranteed more of.
What do you think about them being less motivated to try? Wouldn't that be?
I just think that you're creepy and you want to watch porn with kids. That's actually what I think. I'm not being hyperbolic. I truly think you're a predator.
It's just reactionism.
No, it's not. It's what I actually think this. I'm not lying.
Here's how I'll put it. If I ever took my children to a doctor and they said, oh, this is a problem, let's actually go ahead. We've got a way to work around this. We're going to sit and watch porn with them or suggest certain types of porn or whatever. I would leave that fucking doctor's office.
Watch porn with them. They're going to put them in a private room.
That's even more weird. How do I know they don't have
like that's go in there and masturbate, Sarah.
Seriously,
recognize that institutions have more accountability than the fucking internet.
You're desensitizing them even more.
Do you not realize that institutions and professionals have more accountability in their practices than
only are you desensitized
Joe Blow on the internet?
Go ahead, Rachel. You've been very quiet.
Yeah, not only are you desensitizing the quote patient, but you're also legitimizing the whole thing, the idea of sexuality for children, which is, I presume, a minority position of precocious sexuality, onset, puberty, early onset, puberty, something of this nature.
That's observed through development.
Then the standards become lower, and then we've got children that are being sexualized, and once they're sexualized, I would argue they're easier for exploitation.
I just thought it should be good news that we're going to curate for healthier forms of pornography that wouldn't desensitize aside from maybe
define healthy pornography, please. I want to know.
Yeah, pornography that doesn't objectify one sex or the other, that isn't just made for cash, so that way it shows.
Hello, madam. May I?
Accurate simulacra.
May I kindly perform fellatio on your genitals?
Yeah, I know you.
Esteemed whore. Do you mind?
I know.
Slap those cheeks, milady.
You need more moral outrage. That's your two tricks. I get it. So let me finish.
It's not a trick. You're just actually
actually,
the fucking answer to the question. You're afraid
the
of the
best
answer.
trick.
Stop being afraid of the answer to the question.
In your defense, the best trick we have. In your defense, the best trick we have is to allow you to talk.
I don't think Sarah.
Because you'll just bury yourself. Honestly,
moderate, even though that's what she's here for.
No, this is Throwdown Thursday. There is no moderation. It's Mod Monday's ugly sister for a reason.
Thank you for demonstrating you don't actually want the answer, but I'm going to answer now. So, the healthy forms of pornography.
If we decide to let you little bit.
Yeah, exactly. See, you're afraid.
Go ahead now. I just wanted you to remind you.
Afraid of that kind of shit happening to my kid? Yeah. I wouldn't want anybody with that kind of thought process anywhere around my children.
Thought process of actually treating something wrong.
Of what? Treating something that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Like, no, we're not going to watch
potential pornography addiction that you're not equipped to handle. Yeah. So again,
how am I not equipped?
What healthy depictions might look like? Thank you for keeping me on topic. Thank you for keeping me on fucking
You're watching porn,
you're really
and
good
I
at
want
this,
you to.
Sarah. You're so good at keeping me on topic.
I want you to stop. Here's more porn. Let me grab that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it's gonna work. Every time you try to say what it would be, you do a really good job showing that you comprehend
good porn.
Because you're really good at this.
There is no comprehension of this.
I know, because you lack it. I know, because everyone here lacks it. So again,
everybody lacks it except for PDF.
It would look like, because nobody here is capable of imagining.
Hold on, I think we finally got an answer.
That would be an accurate simulacra of what true sexuality looks like between couples.
Listen, Furby.
Wow! Oh my God!
I gotta let King talk because King wants to talk. But before he talks, I just figured out what the good porn is. The good porn is the Sears catalog. Got into lingerie section there. A lot of excitement. And then the other one would be your National Geographic. Look up the special African edition.
I'm from the golden era of Victoria's Secret catalogs.
Oh,
boy.
Did you know that they discontinued those in print? I actually went to try to get a subscription to them like a decade ago, but
only you. Keynes, welcome back.
Maybe if I had just had some adult and moderate porn with me.
Sorry about the noise at my work, but I just wanted to jump in and say something real quick about what he's saying. You know, this entire ideology is why I don't really trust modern sciences in general these days, like psychology and psychiatry, because they don't believe in protecting a child's innocence. They have the opposite point of view. They think you should just throw them into the deep end, and they're trying to monetize the natural naivete that children have about sex and gender.
I feel like it's worth pointing out, encouraging people to resist the temptation to make this a political issue for their own side when really it's clearly just a pedophile.
No, it's.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I feel like
it's minded.
There's no doubt that the PDF file is gonna be in there perving on the kid while that's happening, but they're using the sciences as a way to further that agenda.
When they end up inevitably accessing the internet and meeting Joe Blow the rando on the internet, that's fine. That's way safer. Like you guys are absolutely inept and won't.
See, they're like you can't control it completely, so you shouldn't even try. Is their attitude? Just throw them in the deep end. Dump them in the deep end.
Is borderline abusive.
So the idea that they would have access to this curated whatever porn, right? Is that not just going to feed the idea that this is curated for me because there is shit that's worse? Wouldn't that just build a curiosity in their head as to how bad could it get? What is worse? I think that would that would motivate somebody to carry on that slippery slope of, the slop that the porn industry provides, that to me seems like a stronger motivation and is more characteristic of what kids are actually like. You tell them they can't do something, or you put something very, very moderated in front of their face. They think, what else? What else is there? Why is it not this? My perception of this is something else. I'm just saying, if you provide them with that situation, it's going to become more apparent to them that there is more stuff out there. You might be just pushing them there yourself. I'm just saying,
I bet
it's
this guy
not necessarily
advocating
the same situation.
So
I bet this guy advocating for all this, I bet he sees parental authority as child abuse.
Absolutely.
Having any rules for your kid, that's child abuse.
It's definitely cock blocking. Am I right or am I right?
I don't think it's efficient, and always leaving things up to parental rights doesn't leave kids up prone to abuse.
See, I told you.
Well, if the alternative is allowing you to weigh in, I think I'm going to defer to parental rights.
You are proposing abuse, Mel.
I just want to ask this guy, what gives you the right, or even any psychologist, to show pornography to another person's child?
No one get okay, for child psychologists, we're talking about institutions that have more accountability, more structure, better guidance on how to avoid sexually abusing kids. There's going to be oversight of the people doing it, not of the kids.
Oh my God.
Is their best interest the interest of the child, though, or is it the interest of science?
That's their job. Their job is literally.
Whoa. But this was all starting with a research study. So is their best interest that of the child or that of the study?
If they're trying to study outcomes that are better for the child, then I think so.
Not being part of that study would be the best outcome. Do you know that study alone carries a 10-year sentence? You can go to prison for 10 years for what your study would be.
We know that until we study it.
No, we know. I'm looking at the law right now. Hold on.
That's just the law. The law doesn't actually tell us what would happen if we did this.
Where to go?
It just tells people. It just
I don't think you need
cancels people from being able to research something that could be a viable.
The Supreme Court has ruled that transmitting obscene child via the internet or other means is illegal under federal law for both adults and juveniles.
Cool.
It is not protected by First Amendment free speech.
Nice.
And it is punishable by up to 10 years in federal prison.